Paying attention to your body and its signals is key to a long and healthy life. Don't underestimate even seemingly insignificant sensations like itching, as they can be the first harbingers of internal changes. Improving your diet doesn't require heroic efforts. Small but regular additions to your daily menu, such as a handful of selected nuts, a hard-boiled egg, a serving of fresh berries, or taking a quality multivitamin complex, can transform the overall condition of the body over time. If you suddenly feel itching in the chest or abdomen and your diet has been less than ideal lately, this may serve as a gentle reminder that food should not only satisfy immediate needs, but also support health and longevity. After familiarizing yourself with 4 specific areas of the body prone to itching, take a moment for self-reflection and ask yourself, have any of these signs been observed recently? Isolated cases of itching may seem insignificant, but as shown, each of them can carry a deeper meaning. From signs of impaired blood circulation in the legs to indicators of liver or kidney overload. From the effects of stress manifesting on the scalp to subtle signals of nutrient deficiency emanating from the chest and abdomen. The human body is constantly striving to communicate, transmitting signals not with a shout, but with a whisper, and often this whisper comes through the skin. It is important to realize that none of the mentioned signs are fatal. On the contrary, each of them represents an opportunity for self-diagnosis, a call to slow down the pace of life and provide the body with the necessary support before a minor warning develops into a serious problem. It's about the opportunity to increase physical activity, improve the quality of nutrition, ensure more complete rest, and restore harmony with yourself and the surrounding world. If at least one of the described signs seems familiar, do not ignore it. It is recommended to start with small but consistent changes. In the absence of such symptoms, this is a good sign. But now there is an understanding of what to look out for and what actions to take if the situation changes. After all, the goal is not just to increase the length of life, but to extend the years filled with clarity of mind, independence, and joy. Paying attention to the early signals sent by the body, even those like itching, is one of the most sensible ways to achieve this goal. But what exactly do these signals mean, and how to interpret them correctly? The answers to these questions may surprise you. Have you ever considered the possibility of remarrying, but were tormented by doubts whether this step would be a mistake? Entering into marriage in adulthood is fundamentally different from youthful experience, and there are a number of important aspects that often go unnoticed until it is too late. Regardless of whether you have spent a significant amount of time alone, recently divorced, or faced the loss of a spouse, remarriage presents unique challenges that can affect your financial well-being, relationships, and overall sense of happiness in ways that may have gone unnoticed. This article will reveal 5 key truths that must be realized before deciding to remarry after 60. These revelations can radically change your perception of love, obligations, and long-term security at this stage of life. Often, people rush to remarry without thinking about the potential consequences for their future, and subsequently face unexpected stress and difficulties. However, armed with the necessary knowledge, you can make an informed decision that will bring satisfaction, peace, and stability. Understanding these 5 truths will help avoid unnecessary heartache and ensure that any new relationship you enter into truly meets your needs and expectations. If you are planning to remarry in the near future, or are simply considering such a possibility, you should carefully study the information provided. So let's begin the examination of these important aspects. After reaching the age of 60, the financial landscape undergoes significant changes, especially when it comes to remarriage. Many entering into a new marriage in adulthood often underestimate its potential impact on their financial well-being. Marriage is not only a union of hearts, but also a legal and financial obligation that can affect pension savings, social security payments, pensions, and even inheritance intended for children or other loved ones. It's crucial to carefully weigh all the pros and cons to avoid unexpected financial difficulties in the future. One key aspect that demands attention is Social Security benefits. Many are unaware that when receiving benefits based on a former spouse's work record, these payments may be reduced or terminated entirely upon remarriage. This can be an unpleasant surprise, especially for those who rely on these funds to maintain their accustomed lifestyle. Additionally, pension payments and survivor benefits may also have limitations, in some cases being canceled after remarriage. Therefore, if either partner receives pension payments, it's essential to carefully review the terms and conditions before making a final decision. Beyond government benefits, it's important to consider retirement savings and estate planning. Upon entering into marriage, the financial situation becomes shared, including the new spouse's assets, debts, and spending habits. Even with separate bank accounts, state laws can affect the division of assets in the event of divorce or death. Thus, it's necessary to carefully consider all financial aspects to ensure well-being in the future and avoid undesirable consequences. When children or grandchildren are in the picture, it's especially important to consider how a new marriage might affect their future inheritance. It's a common belief that assets will automatically pass to children, but remarriage often introduces adjustments to legal rights concerning property and capital distribution. For example, consider the story of 72-year-old Robert, who found marital happiness again after his spouse's passing. He had always been confident that his children would inherit his estate, but after remarrying it became clear that his new wife had legal rights to his assets. This meant his children might receive a smaller share than he originally intended. Robert had to have difficult conversations and make legal changes to protect the interests of all those he cared about. When planning a remarriage, it is recommended to seek advice from a financial advisor or estate planning specialist. It is necessary to clearly understand how it will affect the financial situation, retirement savings, and assets intended for inheritance. Although such discussions may seem unromantic, they play a key role in ensuring financial security in the future. Family life in remarriage later in life is often more complex than it seems at first glance. By entering into such a union, people combine not only their lives but also entire family histories, established traditions, and expectations, which can come into conflict. Love can unite the hearts of two people, but family ties sometimes bring unexpected difficulties. Unlike young couples starting their journey together with a clean slate, people over 60 often marry with adult children, grandchildren, and decades of established family connections behind them. And these relationships do not always develop smoothly. One of the most acute problems is the reaction of adult children to a parent's new marriage. Even sincerely wishing their parent happiness, they may experience a conflict of feelings driven by loyalty to the deceased spouse, or worry about how the new relationship will affect family traditions, financial matters, or inheritance. Someone may warmly welcome the new family member, while someone else will react with resentment, suspicion, or even concern for the parent's well-being. Such emotions are quite understandable, but if they are not taken into account and handled delicately, they can create prolonged tension that negatively affects not only the marriage but the entire family. In addition to relationships with children, changes may also affect relationships with grandchildren. If a person has played a key role as a grandmother or grandfather in their lives for many years, the appearance of a new spouse may be perceived as an intrusion. Someone will need time to get used to the new situation. A similar situation may arise in the new spouse's family. If they have their own children or grandchildren, combining traditions and expectations will require considerable patience and understanding. The impact of remarriage on financial aspects and inheritance issues should not be discounted, as this is often a source of concern for heirs. Often, children feel anxious, fearing that the new spouse may make adjustments to the existing will, redirect financial flows, or claim a portion of the property that they believe was intended for them. And although the material side may not be the main driving force behind the new relationship, it often becomes a hidden stumbling block for family members. At the heart of such conflicts is not always a banal greed. Often children are driven by a desire to preserve their parents' legacy in accordance with their original intentions. Take, for instance, the story of Susan, who at 68 remarried after more than a decade of being single. She naively believed her children would be genuinely happy for her, but instead she found herself embroiled in a series of unpleasant discussions regarding inheritance matters, established family traditions, and even the choice of residence. Despite her certainty about her children's love, she soon realized that, to maintain harmony within the family, her new marriage required open discussion and reassurance. If a mature individual is planning to remarry, it is crucial to dedicate time to a thorough conversation with family members. It's necessary to openly share your intentions, carefully listen to their potential concerns, and clearly outline which aspects of life will undergo changes and which will remain unchanged. Everyone will likely need a period of adjustment, but addressing these issues in advance can help avoid misunderstandings and hurt feelings in the future. The key is to approach these discussions with patience, sincerity, and a firm belief that the decision to remarry is driven by a desire for companionship and the search for a close companion, while, of course, valuing the relationships that have been built over many years. It's important to consider that emotional expectations at this stage of life are significantly different. Relationships in mature age look different than they did decades ago, in youth. Back then, marriage was often centered around building a life together, raising children, acquiring a home, and developing a career. However, after 60, priorities change. Marriage at this age is not necessarily starting everything from scratch, but rather a search for emotional intimacy, emotional support, and maintaining personal independence while sharing life's journey with a loved one. It's this change in dynamics that is often overlooked by many people entering a second marriage, which can subsequently lead to unexpected difficulties and disappointments. One of the most significant features that distinguish later marriages is the degree of independence that each partner brings to the union. By the time someone reaches the age of 60, 70, or older, they have already established a routine, personal habits, and a lifestyle that is comfortable for them. It is quite likely that they have their own home, hobbies, and a daily rhythm that provides a sense of comfort and stability. Entering into a new marriage involves bringing another person into this familiar world with their own foundations, preferences, and expectations, which may require some adaptation. Some people naively believe that remarriage is simply a matter of finding the right partner, but in reality, it requires careful attention to personal boundaries, individual space, and maintaining one's own identity. Unlike young couples who are jointly striving for financial stability, marriages in mature age often take place between people who have already achieved a certain degree of financial independence and emotional maturity. In this context, other motives for closeness come to the fore: love, the need for companionship, and the desire for shared experiences, which become more important than external achievements. Nevertheless, this also implies the need for both partners to clearly understand their expectations regarding the amount of time they want to spend together, ways to resolve disagreements, and maintain personal independence while maintaining strong relationships. The burden of past emotional experiences should not be discounted either. The painful loss of a spouse or a painful divorce does not disappear from memory without a trace upon remarriage. Each partner brings to the new union a baggage of lived years, past relationships, family ties, and established views on love and fidelity. This is neither good nor bad, but it requires increased emotional sensitivity, leniency, and empathy. Ways of communicating, showing affection, and resolving conflicts may bear the imprint of past events, and the ability to smooth out these differences is the key to a lasting second marriage. Take, for example, the story of Harold, who found love again at 75 after several years of widowhood. He did not expect how different this new relationship would be from his first marriage. His late wife had been his companion for decades, and their interaction as a couple was engraved in his mind. His new partner, on the other hand, had gone through a divorce and highly valued her independence, which was new to Harold. It took them time to find common ground, strike a balance between intimacy and personal space, learn to communicate without comparisons to the past, and accept the unique dynamics of their marriage. As you embark on the path of remarriage, it's crucial to ask yourself a key question. What are your true aspirations for this union? Perhaps your priority is finding emotional warmth and companionship that doesn't require drastic changes to your established lifestyle. Or maybe you desire to create a shared home or prefer to maintain each other's personal space. It's important to honestly assess your emotional readiness for the complex process of merging two established worlds. The answers to these questions will become a solid foundation for a marriage based on realistic expectations and mutual understanding. Don't underestimate the legal side of things. Marriage is not just an emotional connection, but also a legally binding agreement, especially after 60, when life experience and accumulated assets make the legal aspects of marriage more complex and multifaceted. It's a mistake to think that love alone can solve all problems. Without due attention to legal subtleties, the future may hold unpleasant surprises. A prenuptial agreement and healthcare decision-making rights are just some of the important legal issues that require careful consideration before saying I do. When entering into a remarriage, it's important to pay attention to its impact on estate planning. After marriage, a spouse automatically acquires legal rights to assets, even if the plan was to leave them to children, grandchildren, or other loved ones. Without a clear plan, property can be divided in unexpected ways. As a result, many people prefer to update their will or create trusts before remarriage to ensure that assets are distributed according to their personal wishes. No less important legal aspect is the acceptance of medical decisions. In the event of illness or incapacity, who will be authorized to make health decisions? Often, a spouse is given priority over adult children or other family members. This can lead to disagreements, especially if the new spouse and children have different views on patient care. Creating advance directives or a medical power of attorney will help clearly define your wishes and prevent potential conflicts. Prenuptial agreements are another useful tool that can bring clarity and security to both partners' relationships. While certain individuals may hesitate at the thought of entering into a prenuptial agreement, fearing that it may not sound very romantic, in reality, such an agreement can prevent possible misunderstandings and ensure that both parties enter into the marriage with a clear understanding of expectations. A carefully drafted prenuptial agreement can predetermine the distribution of assets, debts, and financial obligations, thereby significantly reducing the risk of future disputes. For example, Eleanor, at 67, rediscovered the joy of love and was preparing to marry, but she also had significant assets that she wanted to preserve for her children. After an open discussion with her fiancé, they decided to draw up a prenuptial agreement that clearly defined their financial boundaries. This not only brought Eleanor peace of mind, but also assured her children of the safety of their inheritance. Although legal matters are not always pleasant to discuss, they are nonetheless necessary. If you are planning to remarry, it is prudent to consult with an attorney specializing in estate planning and family law. Having such discussions early on can avoid confusion and stress in the future, allowing you to focus on what matters most, building fulfilling and secure relationships. Ideas about happiness undergo significant changes throughout a person's life, transforming along with accumulated experience in a rethinking of values. In youth and early adulthood, when life is just unfolding in its entirety, marriage is often seen as the cornerstone of future well-being, as the basis for creating a strong family, achieving financial stability, and building a common life path with a loved one. Young people see marriage as an opportunity for joint growth, overcoming difficulties, and achieving goals, dreaming of a happy and cloudless life together. However, with the onset of adulthood, around the age of 60, the emphasis shifts and happiness ceases to be associated exclusively with construction and creation. Aspects such as maintaining what has been achieved, enjoying the fruits of one's labor, and finding satisfaction in an already established life come to the fore. During this period, it is especially important to ask yourself, how well do new relationships correspond to the idea of happiness that has developed by this stage of life? It's unwise to assume that remarriage automatically brings joy and peace, as happiness in later years stems from entirely different sources than in youth. For some, happiness lies in sharing everyday joys and burdens with a loved one, feeling support and understanding. For others, it's about maintaining independence and personal space, while still having a reliable partner for special occasions and shared leisure. And for still others, it's about preserving their accustomed lifestyle without having to compromise or change established routines and habits. The key is to clearly recognize what truly brings happiness now, rather than being guided by outdated notions formed 30 or 40 years ago. A common misconception when entering a second marriage after 60 is the naive belief that love is enough to cure loneliness. While finding a life partner is wonderful, it's essential to realize that true fulfillment and harmony come from within. If a person feels unhappy alone, marriage is not a cure-all. Moreover, entering marriage with the inflated expectation that a partner will fill an internal void can lead to disappointment, especially when the reality of married life proves more restrictive than anticipated. Equally important is the compatibility of lifestyles. By mature age, people typically have established habits and routines, from morning rituals to preferences in travel and leisure activities. If a new partner has a completely different lifestyle, it can become a source of conflict and disagreement rather than the desired happiness. Some people value spontaneity and improvisation, while others prefer a clear structure and planning. Some find pleasure in quiet evenings at home, while others thrive in an active social life. If there are significant differences in these areas between potential spouses, it's necessary to carefully consider how willing they are to compromise and whether these compromises will bring satisfaction to both in the long term. The story of Frank, who remarried at the age of 72, serves as a vivid example of how hasty decisions can lead to unexpected consequences. Buoyed by the hope of filling the emotional void after his previous marriage, he quickly entered a new union, not foreseeing that his chosen partner had completely different ideas about married life. Over time, significant differences in their lifestyles and priorities began to emerge. Frank's wife dreamed of frequent and long-distance travels, while he found comfort and joy in the familiar comfort of home. She was the life of the party, energetic and sociable, while he, on the contrary, valued peace and solitude, finding in them a source of inspiration and tranquility. Despite mutual care and warm feelings, Frank and his wife struggled to find common interests and points of contact. He increasingly felt that he was losing some of the freedom and independence that he had so valued in his years of solitude. This experience makes one think about the importance of careful self-analysis before making a decision about remarriage. Before tying the knot again, it's necessary to deeply reflect on what truly brings happiness and fulfillment. It's important to honestly answer the questions. What does the ideal marriage look like? Are you willing to share everything with a partner, or do you prefer to maintain personal space and independence? Perhaps a more suitable option would be living separately while maintaining close and devoted relationships. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. Each person is unique, and what brings happiness to one may be unacceptable to another. The main thing is to ensure that any decision made contributes to long-term well-being and does not destroy the peace and harmony that has already been created in one's life. In conclusion, it is worth considering the issues raised once again. Entering a second marriage after 60 can be a wonderful stage of life, but this decision entails a number of important aspects that are often overlooked until a person finds themselves in the situation. Financial matters, family relationships, emotional expectations, legal nuances, and personal understanding of happiness are all factors that require careful consideration before making such a significant decision. It's important to understand that marriage in later life is not just following established traditions, but a conscious choice that should meet personal needs and aspirations. Some find deep satisfaction in remarriage, while others realize that their happiness lies in maintaining independence or in seeking alternative forms of communication and partnership. The most important thing is that the chosen path aligns with personal values, lifestyle, and long-term well-being. In conclusion, if the material presented today has given you pause for thought, it is advisable to avoid hasty decisions. It's important to thoroughly discuss all aspects with family and friends, seek advice from financial and legal experts, and, most importantly, listen to your inner desires. There is no need to rush, as this period of life is meant to embrace what brings true happiness, not what others expect or what society dictates as the norm. It's about finding your own path to fulfillment and well-being without succumbing to external pressures.